dash camera with parking mode. We're going to test 4 of the popular 4K cameras. We're going to show you impact detection, motion detection, time lapse, low battery protection, and what is the energy current consumption of these dash cameras. Let's go. Impact detection while parked. We're going to be covering 3 dash cameras, the Thinkware U3000, the 70mm A139 and the Vantrue N4 Pro. We're going to throw the basketball at the windshield and see how quick they react to turn on after impact. The Thinkware U3000 turns on 1 second after impact. So if someone backs into you in a parking lot, this is going to wake up 1 second after impact and start recording, which is quite awesome. That's amazingly efficient, and the low current draw it has in this mode is also really good. We'll be covering current draw on another video coming up. The 70mm A139 takes 2 seconds to record after impact, which is actually quite amazing that it actually did that in 2 seconds after impact. The Vantrue N4 Pro, as you can see, we throw the basketball at it. We're now waiting for the impact detection to turn on, and the impact detection is going to take 13 seconds again. So this dash camera is taking 12 to 13 seconds on average to wake up after impact, which makes it pretty easy for someone to back into your car and drive away. So we're going to test the Thinkware U3000 again. We waited 15 minutes. We wanted to make sure there was consistency. And boom, impact. 1 second after impact again. The Thinkware U3000 was completely consistent. 70mm A139, 2 seconds after impact again. And we're going directly to the Vantrue N4 Pro for a second test of the third camera. And as we can see, we're going to be coming up here, and it's going to take about 13 seconds again before it wakes up and starts recording, which means there's a good chance it's not going to record what's needed. So we took the Vantrue N4 Pro and found that there is a quick start mode in their impact detection. 1, Steamboat 2, Steamboat 3, Steamboat 4, Steamboat 5, Steamboat 6, Steamboat. So it takes 6 seconds in order for it to actually load. So it's quicker than the 13 seconds, but still, in my opinion, it's not good enough. I hope you enjoyed our test with collision detection. Now, we are going to have some upcoming videos where we actually are going to show you the amount of current draw, because we actually don't know the amount of current draw the 70mm A139 is drawing while parked. Because when we look at what the Thinkware U3000 and U1000 draw in this mode, they typically draw about 10 milliamps of current, which is extremely low. It'll last for days. But when we look at how the Thinkware F200 Pro does, which is a 1080p camera, for instance, that one draws about 120 milliamps of current, which is 12 times the amount of current. So we actually don't know the amount of current draw the 70mm A139 is going to draw. So that's going to be a very big factor, because if it draws 120 or 150 milliamps, it's actually not going to last long in this collision detection mode. So I'm going to be blown away to see exactly how that one reacts. I love testing all of our products that we support here at Safe Drive Solutions compared to some of our competitors' products to see what's going on. But as far as I'm concerned, when we're looking at this, the Vantrue N4 Pro does not cut it in collision detection. You need this to be reliable. So maybe Vantrue will get this stuff figured out. Time-lapse recording. This actually is used in order to preserve space on the memory card. The Viofo dash camera gives you the option of 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 frames per second. The 70mm only uses 1 frame per second. When we go into the Thinkware dash camera, in the time-lapse parking mode, it records footage at 2 frames per second, enabling the dash camera to continuously record long periods of parking surveillance without increasing power consumption. And the Vantrue finally records at the option of 1, 5, 10, or 15 frames per second. How do dash cams record while parked? So we actually took 4 4K Sony Starvis 2 dash cameras to see how they record with motion detection at night. So we took the 70mm A810 brand new 4K HDR, the Thinkware U3000, Viofo A139 Pro, and the Vantrue N4 Pro. And in this video coming up, you're going to see how 3 out of the 4 work. The reason why I say 3 out of the 4 is because the 70mm A810 uses AI motion detection. So it didn't deem the motion detection video that it was recording as being important. So it actually just didn't save it at all. So if you are worried about someone being suspicious or something happening in your area and you wanted to catch that person, well, let's just put it this way. My first set of tests are basically showing that you do not want to invest in this dash cam because it's not going to record if you're using the motion detection feature. Anyways, we're going to show you the video here. Pay attention. I think you're going to be blown away at who actually wins. Let's go. I know for me, I would probably choose the Thinkware U3000. And honestly, I'm actually very surprised because I felt that with the Viofo and the Vantrue both using HDR, I thought for sure those would have absolutely destroyed the U3000. But honestly, for some weird reason, when you're nighttime driving, the Thinkware U3000 just doesn't really work as well as the Viofo and Vantrue with the HDR. But when we're looking in parking mode and it uses its Super Night Vision 4.0, you can actually make out my face somewhat, and you can actually see my shirt and make out like the words on my shirt if you really slow it down and go in there. But like, I don't know, like for me, I probably would get the Thinkware U3000 after seeing this. Like, this really blew me away. I know a few people were pushing me into doing this test. But anyways, hopefully this education is helping you out. The more and more choices we keep giving you, and actually this does prove my original suggestion from quite a while ago, is that the Thinkware U3000 is a parking mode first dash camera. So if you're looking for the best parking mode, that's what you want, is a Thinkware U3000. Parking mode cable. Both the Viofo and Vantrue parking mode cables need to be hooked up to power, ground, and ignition. Now, the main difference between these two is the low battery protection cutoff. On the cable for Vantrue, it only has settings of 11.6 and 12 volts for low battery protection, while the Viofo has 11.8, 12, 12.2, and 12.4 volts cutoff. Let's talk about the parking mode cable with the Thinkware U3000. So, basically, you have this little connection right here, and this plugs right in to the top of the U3000. Now, the low battery protection, which you can see right here on the screen, gives you lots of options all the way from like 11.6 to like 13.2 volts. Now, typically most vehicles I'm going to recommend setting it on 12 volts or higher. Now, what ends up happening is when you actually buy the U3000, you get one of these in the box and you're like, oh my god, it's an OBD2 cable. And what happens is people go out of their way to actually purchase a hardwire cable. So they go and spend all this extra money, like an extra $30 or $40, buying a Thinkware hardwire cable. Well, I covered this on one of my other videos, but I want to make sure to cover it right here. So here you go. Here's the OBD2 cable that comes in the box. And if you want to actually hardwire it, this is what I do. I cut it. It's gone. The OBD2 cable. See right here? It's gone. And see here? There's still fuse holders. I pull it off, and you have your power, ground, and ignition wires. Just simple like that. And that's all you need to do to turn the OBD2 cable that comes in the box with the U3000 into a hardwire cable. Doesn't mean that every OBD2 cable is going to work like this, okay? I'm being very specific. This is the cable that comes in the U3000 2-channel box. This is the OBD2 cable. And then you can hook this up to ignition, constant power, and ground in order to actually hook up. And then you can set it for your low battery protection in order for it to work. So that's the proper way to do it. Let's talk about the hardwire cable for the 70mm A810. So as you can see here, basically you have the 70mm hardwire cable. This actually has your power, ground, and ignition cables, which I've wired in like 3 times now. So it's getting shorter. And then you have the USB-C that plugs into it. Now, realistically, when we were doing this, I was trying to figure out what the low battery protection threshold was. And there's a lot of bad information on the internet. Like there's even a bunch of stuff saying that this cable has 3 selector voltage switches, which it actually doesn't have any voltage settings at all, period. To the point where I went through their whole website, couldn't even find a manual or anything for it. So I did what you're supposed to do. Open the box up for the hardwire cable, and I read the manual. And the manual says, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try zooming in. But as you can see right up here, low battery protection, 11.8 volts. So there's no way to set it. It's 100% default set at 11.8 volts. And that's directly with the hardwire cable that they recommend. It's called the UP03, because I know supposedly there is a UP04 cable as well. I'm not a 70mm dealer. I'm just going by the information I have. Anyways, we did test it. It does shut off directly when it hits 11.8 volts. So it does work correctly according to our testing. And we're going to go forward with showing you the low battery protection test next. The low battery protection. So what we basically are going to do is we're going to turn it down to 11.9 volts as both dash cameras are set to 12 volt low battery protection. And what's going to end up happening is it's going to take about 1.5 minutes for the Viofo to actually shut down, while the Vantrue takes 5 minutes to shut down from the low battery protection. We're doing the low battery protection test of the Thinkware U3000. As you can see, it's at 12.5 volts, and we're turning it right down to 11.9. Now, we didn't wait long enough for the low battery protection kicked in, so we ended up getting a little jumped ahead of ourselves and changed it to 11.8. But at 11.9 volts, it actually does shut off after about 1.5 to 2 minutes being below the set voltage for your low battery protection. So we have it set at 12.5 volts, and we're testing the low battery protection. And as you can see on the 70mm A810, we're going to go and put it right down to 11.8 volts. And instantaneously it shuts off, because that's what the low battery protection is set for. So that's how you have it. As soon as it gets down to 11.8 volts, dash camera will shut off to protect the battery of your car. So let's talk current draw of parking mode. We're going to start off with what the total current draw of this dash camera is while you're driving around. So it's drawing 450 milliamps of current, or 5.6 watts, depending on how you want to look at it. That's not even half an amp of current. Now let's go into the parking mode features. The radar parking mode, and this is what really blows me away. The radar parking mode is drawing 10 milliamps of current on our test bench. Okay, 0.1 watts. Motion detection is drawing 286 milliamps or 3.5 watts. Time lapse is drawing 251 milliamps or 3.1 watts. And energy saving mode is drawing 3 milliamps or, I'm just saying 0.1 watts because it's so low it won't even register. Anyways, let's talk current draw of the Viofo A139 Pro. So for regular current draw, while it's operating and you're driving your vehicle all day, it's going to draw approximately 498 milliamps or 6.7 watts of current. Now, when we go into parking mode and we look at like time lapse, for instance, it's going to draw a little bit less at 389 milliamps and 4.8 watts of current. Obviously, it's preserving a little bit, you know. And then we're going to auto event detection. Auto event detection, which is motion and impact, is 439 milliamps and 5.4 watts of current. And then when we go look at low bitrate recording, really low bitrate recording is saving storage space, but it's still drawing the same current as auto event detection at 439 milliamps and 5.4 watts. Let's go over current draw of the 70mm A810. So when looking at it continuously recording with the front and rear camera, we're looking at about 451 milliamps and 5.5 watts. Fast forward into time lapse and you're getting on average between 250 and 270 milliamps. Approximately, we're talking 3.1 watts. Now, going into collision detection, we're at about 112 milliamps or 1.4 watts. And then we look at motion detection, we're back up to about 340 milliamps and 4.2 watts. Let's go over current draw of the Vantrue N4 Pro. So while continuously recording in 2-channel mode, we're at approximately 714 milliamps and 8.9 watts. This is by far the highest current draw out of all 4 dash cameras. Now we're going to look at the collision detection, and this is actually the new collision detection, which takes about 6 seconds in order to actually for an impact to register into collision detection mode, and we're looking at 121 milliamps and 1.5 watts. Now we're going to fast forward over to motion detection, and motion detection we're at 626 milliamps and 7.8 watts. And now we're going to go directly into low bitrate recording. A low bitrate recording is at 495 milliamps and 6.1 watts. And then final time-lapse mode, 559 milliamps and 6.9 watts. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a snippet from our ultimate 4K dashcam comparison video, but we get asked about parking mode questions all the time, so we thought we'd put this little separate snippet video so it was easier to find on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Ben from Safe Drive Solutions, your dashcam specialist. If you are looking to support us, take a look at us, safedrivesolutions.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers.